All right, so let's go. This is obviously not mandatory what's happening right now, but we can keep an eye on things. Who should we know did not participate?
Matthew Judon, Devon Godshaw were not there. Cole Strange was not there in pads anyway, or in a helmet. Kendrick Bourne, he had the same situation. He's coming back from the knee. Strange is coming back from the knee. I wouldn't worry too much about it, at least at this stage of at least at the stage of the calendar. But yeah, there were a handful of guys. Tavai wasn't there. Zuri Henry, one of the tryout guys, wasn't there. But no one big time that I would worry about, at least at this point.
Okay, what's the deal with Godchow and Judon? Judon's got to be a contract situation, right? Is he making a statement here?
I don't think he's necessarily making a statement. I think that this was a guy who, and I actually talked to a couple people at Gillette Stadium yesterday. I'm glad you asked about Judon. I talked to a couple people at Gillette Stadium who talked about how he had been in the building. He had been in the facility. He was getting his work in. I think that is more of a case. There's probably some contract stuff mixed in there, but I also think there's, a little bit of veterans prerogative. I don't necessarily have to show up, so I'm not going to show up. Devin Godshaw, quite honestly, man, we talked about how nice the weather was yesterday. Would you rather be in Foxborough or would you rather be on South Beach with your supermodel wife? So, it's one or the other for him. So I wouldn't worry too much about these guys, at least at this stage of the calendar.
The biggest story, obviously, is the quarterbacks and the rotation of the quarterbacks. Everyone, including you, is quick to point out that Drake Maye was third up taking reps. Is there anything to be taken from this? Is that how the Patriots see it, or is it just the way it shook out?
I think that there is a growing level of, I'll call it, appreciation for Bailey Zappi. We talked to Jacoby Brissett last week about this, and he reminded us, he said, look, man, Zapp is no slouch. Zapp has started games and won games in this league, and so he's earned a level of respect. I know that, look, it's all relative, at least at this stage of his career, especially when it relates to last season, but I did think it was interesting. And I also think, we talked about veterans prerogative before. I think that, that's a way to show Zappi a little respect, at least from a veteran's point of view. I do think it was important, though, that, to note that Brissett was the first guy. Brissett was clearly the lead guy in all of the drills. He got the bulk of the reps. And so at least as it bodes, for the quarterback position, he is QB1 and everyone else is fighting for the number 2 spot moving forward, at least at this point.
All right, Christopher, but if you're the Patriots and you're not going to play Drake Maye and you're making the decision not to play Drake Maye, it's important not to make him the backup, right? Because I just saw what happened in New York. They were all confident. We have Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson's talented. We're going to let him sit behind the master for a year or two. 4 plays into the season, Rodgers gets hurt. Here comes Wilson. He's ruined all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a concern with you with Maye? I mean, if you're not going to play him, you really can't. You really got to make him your third quarterback, right?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting argument, Fred. I do. I think that there's value in just, seeing what he can do, at least with the first team, if that's what you're talking about. Because you do have to prepare for the.
Game day Sundays.
The worst case scenario.
Yeah, practice. Yeah. I don't practice. Yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously, I want him as much experience in practice as possible. But what I'm saying is, on game days, if my intention is not to play him, I really got to make that commitment that there's got to be a guy between him and the starter, right? Because the starter's going to get hurt most likely at some point.
Yeah, and then you have to then that also brings up a discussion regarding the other 2 guys on the roster in their future, at least as it relates to 2024. If you want to keep Zappi around, I think that there's 2 different possibilities there when it comes to those guys in what they do. The first 2 guys, Maye and Brissett, will ultimately impact those 2 guys. Do you think about trading Zappi if he has a really good summer for, let's say, a 5th round pick or a 6th round pick, and you go into the regular season, you feel good about your combination of Maye, Brissett, and Joe Milton? Or does Joe Milton get the Foxborough flu and is a developmental guy for a year, and you have to go kind of send him away, and then you still have, I would think you would still have Bailey Zappi on the roster. So there's a lot to be determined with that position. Right now, the thing that we know for sure is that Brissett is the number 1 quarterback on the roster.
Can you? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just wonder where you fall on all this, Chris, in terms of what these guys, Brissett specifically, might be able to do in the interim, assuming that he is going to be the starter and that Drake Maye is going to be developed along the way. because people would like to see maybe the Patriots win some football games in the interim. So are you on board with this whole developmental thing with Drake Maye, which I think you are, but they have a chance at doing anything if Brissett is the guy for the first, I don't know, half of the season?
I think it's going to be tough. I do. I think that Brissett is probably going to get his butt kicked a little bit, and I think it's okay to have him get his butt kicked as opposed to Drake Maye, at least from a confidence standpoint. But Hardy, that's a really good question. I think that you have to take the short term and the long term into account in both of those cases. I think that you can win ball games with Jacoby Brissett in the short term while you develop Drake Maye in the long term. I think it's going to be tough, and I think it's going to be difficult to walk that fine line, because I think there are going to be Sundays where you're going to want to have the young quarterback out there, but I think long term, I don't want to say it's going to hinder his development, but I think you're going to be better off having Jacoby Brissett take the slings and arrows, at least for the bulk of 2024, as opposed to the rookie.
Can you talk about the overall feeling around the team? I thought it really interesting. I assume you were there when Juju Smith-Schuster stepped away from the microphone and yelled back. The vibe in the locker room is much better than last year. Everyone's driving home the point that Bill's not here. Everybody's relaxed, right?
Yeah, it is. It's different. Someone said the other day too, and I forget who it was, that Mayo likes to have the guys run the team, and everyone kind of jumped on that quote a little bit and kind of took it and ran with it a little bit. But I think it's the vibe is really different. It is. It's more of a team friendly and more of a player friendly vibe. There are people around, and this is not just players and not just coaches, but people at the facility saying that they're not walking on eggshells anymore. It's just a different feeling around the stadium. It's a different feeling. And look, fans probably don't care one way or another. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, though, in the end.
Is this a good thing?
Yeah. Look, man, that's a fantastic question. It is, because, we saw, I mean, John can remember that, we saw them turn the page from Bill Parcells to Pete Carroll. And it was, look, it's 25 years ago. It's a different era, but there was the same sort of vibe. Pete's a player's coach. Everybody loves him. Everyone, the vibes are different. And they regressed over a 3-year period. So it completely changed. So it's just, I think you got to kind of let it play out a little bit. And if you're a fan, you just kind of put your faith in the idea that they have some guys on that roster. David Andrews, is one of them who it's going to be a players-led team, but at the same time, they're not going to stray too far from the important stuff.
So what's your overall confidence level in the coaching staff as a whole? We really don't know with Gerard Mayo, but got a little bit more, book on the coordinators and some of the assistants. What do you think about what they have assembled so far?
Defense, I have no questions at all.
Okay.
Defense, I have the utmost confidence that this defense is going to be probably is going to be a top 10 defense again. The continuity involving DeMarcus Covington, the carryover with guys like Jabril Peppers, Matthew Judon, Christian Gonzalez, Juwan Bentley, Christian Barmore, Kyle Duggar, all those guys. The defense is going to be really good if everyone stays healthy. All my questions are on offense. It's really Gerard Mayo's history as a head coach. Again, speaks to his background on defense, but offensively, we don't know. Alex Van Pelt, he hasn't called plays as an offensive coordinator over an extended period of time at all.
Yeah,
and so he's still kind of an unfinished portrait as an OC. So it is. I like I said, I have no problem in the defense. If I'm a fan, I love what they're doing. And again, I think they're going to be a top 10 defense. I have all sorts of questions about the confidence level on the offensive side of the ball. And it starts with the offensive coordinators and it starts with the quarterback.
Yeah, the thing about the fan base and then I guess ownership is they're going to have to show patience. I mean, like you said, you don't know about this coaching staff, and the offense is so hindered that I mean, they're a dog in every game this year, according to Vegas. I mean, Vegas, I guess, has them going,
by the way.
But that means Vegas, really, if you think about it, has them going 0-17. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the way that they look at it. So, the pressure, if they decide not to play May, the fan base has got to just get used to, look, they believe in this kid, that they're going to take him around for a year, and then you can't you can't judge the coaching staff based on the first 6 games of the season, first 8 games of the season. So
I think Fred. I think ultimately what I would love to see is just a gradual improvement over the course of the year. And I'll make another old-timey reference here. Remember the 1993-94 kind of team where Parcells came in? And look, I'm not trying to equate Bill Parcells with Gerard Mayo, but that team they were miserable out of the gate, and they won like their last 4 games. And there was a great sense of optimism down the road that, look, even though they had a horrible year, things were trending in the right direction. And I think that that's really important to keep in mind here, that, there are going to be more losses than wins this year. I still think they're going to go over on the 4.5 that I saw in Vegas, by the way, but they're going to be more losses than wins. But I think as long as you see improvement from a lot of that young talent on the offensive side of the ball, Drake Maye, the offensive lineman, Hulk, Baker, if they're trending in the right direction by the end of the year last year, that's a sign that they've gotten things turned around.
I would be with you on that, because 4.5 wins, it's so absurdly low. But even if it's only 5 or 6, if you get 2 of those wins out of your last 3 games, it changes your outlook remarkably.
He's talking about Bledsoe's rookie season. They won their last 4 to finish 5-11. And that we all had, and then they went 10-6 the next year, and so you had the optimism.
Give me half their wins over the last 5 games, and I'll be oddly optimistic going forward.
Yeah, and look, man, if they hit on the quarterback, if May's the real thing, and if Polk and Baker can play, it's a lot of ifs. But you remember this team lost however many games last year by 7 points or less. The defense is going to keep them in games. The special teams is going to be better. It's just if they can get anything on offense, anything at all on offense, I think they have a chance to be competitive for most of the year. I'm not going to say they're going to, come close to 500, but they're going to be competitive. They're going to be more competitive than they were last year.
All right, Christopher Price, read him in the Boston Globe. He will be at OTAs and reporting on all of that. Christopher Price, it is always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care, guys. Talk soon.
All right, there you go.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.